out there, this is Cynthia Howard coming to you from my studio in Claremont, New Hampshire. I'm the founder of Citizens for Lower Taxes, and I will be talking to you today as a continuance from my last podcast of last week about the elections in my hometown of Claremont, New Hampshire. There's some things I observed from the last podcast since they had the chamber forum that I think I should pass along to you and let you decide and let you know what's going on before you cast your all-important vote out there on Tuesday, November 3rd. Coming right around the corner, so you need to be aware of what's happening. So, last Friday night, October 23rd, the Chamber of Commerce had their public forum on the election, and they asked many questions. They had originally advertised it as not being able to allow the public, even though it's a public event. They said there wouldn't be probably room enough in the room. So I looked on CCTV, and guess what? There were like 8 or 9 people in there, and they weren't media people, so they had no more business being there than anyone else, but yet they were sitting there. It looked to me like they were enjoying the forum, but that shouldn't have happened. You know, if they advertised it as non-public, then that's what it should have been. But more importantly, if they let some of the public in there, they should have let all the public in there. And if they said they didn't have enough room, they have an opera house upstairs that will seat approximately 800 people. So they could have had quite a few interested voters in the Opera House listening to the forum if they really wanted to, but it looks like they only wanted certain people there, and that's what they got. But we did get to watch it on TV, so that was nice. Looking at my local paper, the Eagle Times, they took a picture of the forum during the candidates forum for Ward 2, Ward 1, and Ward 3. As well as the at-large candidates. And from the picture, I could see that most of the candidates, except for maybe 3, had notes in front of them. Or maybe it could have been talking points. One or the other, it had to be. And most of these people have been in office either before or they're long-standing incumbent counselors. So why would they need these notes? I mean, they talk and talk all the time during the meetings, and they have no problem. But during the candidates forum, they had their little notepads, all with prepared speeches or prepared remarks. Very interesting interesting observation that I wanted you to be aware of. But Tom Lacasse, who's running at large, Paul Lacasse, who's running at Ward 2, and Mr. Simons, who is running at large, didn't have any notes in front of them. So you know who I'm voting for, because we don't need somebody with prepared marks. If they can't tell from their heart how they're going to vote or what they're going to do, then they don't even need to be running for office. You know, this is not something that you see all the time, but when you see that during a forum, it kind of spurs your intellect on, you know, what's going on here. Why do they have to have prepared marks? What are they trying to hide, or what do they have to say from somebody who prepared them to say something? You know, that's not a good thing. And just be aware of that and pass that information along and say, you know what, during that candidates forum, most of them had prepared remarks. So they probably thought no one would notice, but good thing the local Eagle Times was there to snap that picture. Very important picture. Very good, in fact. And getting on with the meeting, you know, the chamber asked several questions about, you know, their background, you know, what their goals were, etc. The same old thing, but they did ask a lot of questions on what the chamber called economic development. You know, what would you do to spur economic development? What policies would you put in place? How would Claremont go about getting economic development to move the city forward? You know what? We do have economic development. Surprise, surprise, surprise. But it's not what we should have. Economic development does not spur nothing because it's bigger government. Economic development is a phrase that is used by bureaucrats. It means more government funding. It means from local, whether it's county, whether it's state, federal government. It means local money coming in from another government entity to spur business, to spur more housing, to build more public facilities, to build more parks. It's another form of corporate welfare, another form of welfare, because economic development has been around a long time, maybe since the early 1960s, when all these big housing developments went in to these large cities. Oh, when they talk economic development, that's what they're talking. And in essence, they're talking about higher taxes and more spending, more money, more of your money that you have to match with the federal government's money when that comes into town, or less money that we have to fix our roads because we have to match money, or we have to give a portion of our tax dollars for a certain economic development project. No, economic doesn't work. It's the worst thing. I mean, it's the worst thing that they could talk about. I don't know if they know the difference, but they should have done their homework and found out what the difference is. The word they should have used, what needs to be used, is economic growth, because economic growth comes from the private sector. Economic growth means more housing, it means more buildings, it means more companies, it means more stores, it means more business. It means someone coming in to invest in the town as for private sector growth, which will lower our tax base, which will create more people coming in, more people being employed, more people willing to invest in our town. So they were totally off base when they said economic development, because what they're talking about is bigger government. And nobody brought that up, or nobody made a comment about that. But I know Tom Lacasse, when they asked him about, you know, why he was running, he did say because of the taxes being so high and because of so much regulation that's driving business away. Well, yeah, he's right on the money. That is what's causing the problem. But government is the problem. As Ronald Reagan had said, government is the problem, not the solution. And the more the times you rely on a bigger government, you're going to have more problems in your local town, because you're not going to have the tax base anymore. It's going to decline and decline, and the people that are left here are going to pay more and more. And before you know it, it's not going to sustain itself. You're going to have a collapse of some kind, and you're not going to have the infrastructure. Everything is going to be declining, and everybody will be leaving. And that's not what we want. So the chamber, being business friendly as it is, should have talked about economic growth and what they would do to set policies, what they would put in place to entice business here, to lure business here. And obviously, number one would be less spending, lower taxes, less bonding, less federal grants. Things that are costing the city and the taxpayers money is what we need in this town, so that private sector growth will take place and people will want to come here. And there'll be a domino theory, you know, because if you have industry in here, then people will come in and build a house or buy a house. You'll have more retail development in your downtown. I mean, it's not difficult to understand this. You'll have more motels, more hotels. You may even have a mall here. Who knows? But the way it is now, you're going to have less and less, unless they get to the root of the problem, unless they address the overbearing issue, which is taxes. I mean, until they tackle that problem, nothing is going to happen to change that. And you have to elect the people, the right people, obviously, number one. And those people are Tom Lacasse at large, Paul Lacasse, Ward 2, A.J. Morainville, Assistant Mayor. And there may be one or two others, but you know what? The majority of them are singing the same song as the chamber, as economic development. We need to expand this and expand that. But they're talking about public funding. You know what? We've already tried that and it doesn't work. They've always said, build it and they'll come. Build a better school. You know, dump more money in, more bonds, more public facilities like the community center. And Let's fix all the roads. You know, let's put more rail to trails in. Let's build more sidewalks. You know, let's get the visitor center up and running. We got to have a pedestrian bridge. We've got to have some kind of a statue commemorating the 250th anniversary. It's on with more public projects. Yet these public projects are not drawing in more businesses, more big, huge companies like a Wheeling Engineering or a Sturm Ruger or even a FedEx or some huge company that exists like in Keene or exists in Lebanon or Newport or Charlestown, which are towns. It's not happening. So building it is creating more of a problem because it's increasing our tax burden. So these companies and all these people do not want to come here. So get to the root of the problem. Fix the problem. So instead of build it, they will come. It is fix the problem. Fix the problem and they will come. Fix the problem with spending. Fix the problem with taxation. Fix all the spending that's out of control. Fix the big bureaucracy in a little city of Claremont, New Hampshire of only 12,000 people. You don't need the school, the Claremont School District, as the #1 employer. Hello, that's a problem. Otherwise, if you had a non-government entity, a company, you wouldn't have this problem because more and more government creates more and more taxes. So it's fine to have people employed by the school district, but it shouldn't be the #1 employer. It should be a private entity, a private company, an industry of some kind. And if you had the right planning office, you had the right city management, you had a council that was holding their feet to the fire, you would have big companies in here that want to expand, that want to bring more people in, that want to have people build housing here, that want to have people build retail shops and more hotels and more motels in here. But right now you don't have that because you lack the leadership. You lack the people that want to set the right policy. And most of them at that chamber event weren't talking about what was creating or causing the problem, or they weren't talking about economic growth, which they should have been talking about, instead of using the catchphrase economic development, because look around you. The downtown is empty. There are houses for sale. There are more public buildings. Nobody's coming here. They're going around us. So economic development is more government, more welfare. It is not working. It hasn't worked. It's been proven a fact that it doesn't work. And you look at a dying downtown, a dying area like Detroit, Michigan. It didn't work there. The car companies left and left it all a ghost town. And we don't want that here. But the more we rely on the federal government, that will happen. Eventually it will happen until you get the right people in office. So we need to fix our problems first and not build it and they will come. What we did was we put the cart before the horse, and the cart cannot carry the load. The horse can. So we need to put the horse back in the driver's seat and fix our overall problems, and then you will see a big difference. You will see this place booming. I mean, you won't have enough places to put the buildings. You won't have enough places to put the people because they couldn't wait to get here, because the New Hampshire Advantage is the lower tax state. But the property taxes are killing us here, and the regulations are killing us here. So let's get out there on Tuesday, November 3rd, and vote for those candidates. Ward 1, Ward 2, South Street, Claremont Middle School. Ward 3, Hanover Street, the Disnard School. Tell your friends, tell your family to get out there all day from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and go and vote those people. And let's see if we can't make Claremont a better place to live. And then people will want to stay here. I hope you do. I know that's what I'm going to do. And I will be issuing some more podcasts in the not too so distant future. And it has been a pleasure today. Of course, you know, it's Halloween. It's Saturday, October 31st. And it's supposed to be a warm one, so get out there and enjoy it. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'll be talking with you not very soon. Very soon I will be talking with you. So have a wonderful day. And this is Cynthia Howard again, Citizens for Lower Taxes. Thank you very much.